Alright guys, here's your demo on how to set up your triptych in Photoshop. I'm going to show you how I made this lovely thing. This summer I went to this place in Waterford called the Judson House, and it was terrifying. It's this old house, and as I was walking through it all by myself, and it was kind of dark, and there were these mannequins with these clothes on them in all these corners, which scared the crap out of me. And then I started photographing them. So that's where these pictures came from. They're pretty fantastic. I'm going to show you how I went from putting all three of these together to making one composition with them, just like you can for your triptych. You can do a million things. This is really, really basic, so you can keep it really, really basic, or you could try to get really, really fancy with it. If there's anything that you want to know how to do that you don't know how to do, send me a message and I'll show you how, okay? All right, but here's where I started. I started by taking these photographs. I already edited them, you know, and did everything I wanted to do to them, so they were all great. And they all looked the same too. So I kind of suggest that if you're going to edit these three photographs because you're going to present them together, edit them in a similar fashion. So all three of them look the same, so they're the same sort of style when they are viewed together, okay? So the first thing I did was resize them, because if you go to image and image size, right now it's a 12 by 19 with a resolution of 300. And for this, like if you put three photos on one composition that are 12 by 19s, it's going to be huge. So we're going to shrink them down a bit. I kept my width and my height linked and changed my height on all of them to 5 inches. And that changes the width automatically, and the resolution I kept at 300 because we still want it to be nice, right? And then I said, okay. So I resized all three of them. There's that one, and that one. They're all the same size, okay? So then I did a little bit of mental math in my head and tried to decide how big I wanted the overall composition to be. So if I go back to image and image size, I said these are, about 3 inches wide. So that's 9 inches altogether, but then I want some space in between them. So say 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 inches maybe, okay? And then 5 inches tall, and I wanted a couple inches on top and on the bottom. So here's what I did. File, new. What did I say, 13? Yeah, 13. So I went to my new canvas, right? I did, let's see, I'm going to do a 15-inch width. It's 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say 8, because I would want maybe 1 inch on the top and maybe 2 inches below my photographs. So let's start with a 15 by 8 inches, of course, resolution 300. If your resolution is not a 300, when you pull your photos over to this document, it's going to change the resolution of the photo to whatever resolution your document is. So keeping it 300 and keeping your photographs 300 is going to be nice, because then it keeps all the sizes correct and doesn't change anything. So that's kind of important too. I also knew that I wanted the background black, so I changed it right here to black. You can change it afterwards as well, and I'll show you that. Create. So here's my blank document, okay? Now I came over to my first picture, right? And the first thing you need to do before you can move this picture is you need to flatten this picture. So if you have layers here, like adjustment layers or anything else like that, you need to go to Layer, Flatten Image, and it'll make it just one layer. If you don't do that and you're highlighted on one of the adjustment layers, it will drag over just that adjustment layer instead of dragging over your photograph, okay? So I'm on my move tool up here, click on this picture, drag it over here, place it down there, there we go, okay? Next one. Also want to make sure that it's unlocked. Sometimes it won't move if it's unlocked or if it's locked. So you can unlock it just by clicking that lock. Oh, I can already tell that this is a little bit too big, so we might have to change that. There we go. Okay. And Photoshop has this great function when you move them around, you can see where it's telling me I have the same amount of space between them. It's telling me that they're equal and they're lined up nicely and all of that stuff. I think it's a little too much space. So let me show you how I did that. Let's move them up a little bit maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, if you make a canvas and you want to change the size of that canvas, you can go to Image, Canvas Size. So right now my width is 15. Let's try 14. See what it does. Let's try 13. Isn't that what I said in the first place was 13? Yeah, that's more like it. Okay. Move them over, move them over, move them over. This should tell me too when it's in the middle of the page, maybe. Okay. You line it up there. There we go. There we go. Got it now. Okay. Let's go back to my original. There we go. Okay. So here's what else I did to it. Now that I have these all on here, I have them placed. I like my canvas size. And everything looks nice, then I can start doing some fancy things, right? So I double clicked, if you double click on the gray area next to your layer, it brings up your layer styles, which is really fun to play with. I play with these all the time. You can give it a stroke. A stroke is just an outline, right? So I gave my photographs a white stroke. You can give it whatever color you want, whatever. You can make the stroke bigger, smaller, whatever you think looks nice. You can put it on the inside or the outside of your photograph. Blending mode is how it blends into the background to the layer behind it. So you can change that if you want to see what that does. You can take the opacity down, you take the opacity up, whatever you want to do there. Okay, right? So there's my stroke. Now I also added a drop shadow. I'm a big fan of a drop shadow. I love the drop shadow. They're super fun to play with, right? I made it gray. You could change the opacity. You can change the angle of the dropped shadow. You see it moving around there, right? That's pretty fun. To get it to wherever you would like. You could change the distance it is away from your photograph. You could change how big the spread is. You could change how big the size is. You could change all kinds of things with your drop shadow, okay? And say, okay, all right. So now my layer 1 has 2 effects on it. Now the cool thing with this is I don't have to go into layer 2 and layer 3 and do the same thing, because all I have to do is right click on it and I can copy my layer style and I can go over here and I can right click and I can paste that layer style. There it is. And it does it to that photograph. And I can paste that layer style. And it does it to that photograph. Boom, boom, there you go, right? Okay. Let's back up for a minute, because this background doesn't have to be a solid color background. You can give it like a gradient if you want to. You can give it a gradient. You can, I don't know, you give it a texture. You can make it a different photograph and take the opacity down if you want to. I don't know, there's a million things you could do there. Let me show you. I showed you how to shorten this canvas, but let me show you how to make it bigger if you decide that it's not big enough, right? So let's say that I want some more space at the bottom. I can move this here, right? And I could take the height and let's make it 9. Boom. And that adds another inch to the bottom. Now notice it's white, right? So I can go over here to this paint bucket, make it black, and click on it, and boo, there it's black, okay? That gives me a little bit more room to do my title and everything else right here. Okay, so here's what you need. You need a title and you need a byline. So that just means that you have to title it and you have to put your name on it, right? Just like I did here. I did Inside the Judson House, Waterford, PA by me, right? So this is your text tool, right? You could do regular text, vertical text, all kinds of fun stuff with it. But you click and it gives you your text, which right now is black. So we can change it to white so you can see what it looks like, right? And then you can type whatever you want. Inside the Judson House. Here's my title. Now, you can either highlight this text and change everything up here. But here's what I like to do when I'm working with text tool. I like to click on the move tool and click on the text because then you can move it. Then I like to go over here to the character tab, and I can change it here. I can change all the fonts and whatever I want. I can change how big or how small it is, right? I can even like use my arrows and go like this, and it'll change it a little bit bigger at the same time, okay? Oh no, don't twirl on me. You can also use these other things to change the spacing between your fonts and the spacing between your sentences, which is pretty nice. You can adjust these fonts however you want. Color, bold font, all kinds of stuff, right? And of course, every time you click with the text tool, it makes a new layer. So here's your text layer over here. And I can move this around, right? There you go. So you can play with that a little bit too. You can always download fonts. There is a really fun website called dafont.com. I'm sure I've mentioned it many times before. Dafont.com is my absolute favorite. You can find and download fonts and use whatever fonts you want here. Say you want a handwritten font. I go to the handwritten section, right? And let me just scroll down. Oh, no, I don't even have to. There are 314 pages of free handwritten font here. And you can even type, I could type, ooh, maybe I could type a word, like I know the word Judson is in my title, so I could type it there and it'll show me how it looks in every single font. And then when you find one you like, you just press download and install it on your computer, and it'll automatically be in Photoshop, right? That's a lot of fun. I have so many fonts that I use for so many things, so that's fun too. And then, of course, make sure you put your byline on there. I don't really want to touch anything else here because my computer was starting to twirl on me, and I don't want to crash and burn before my video's over. And that's about it, you guys. Save it. I saved mine as a Photoshop document and as a JPEG in case I ever wanted to go back and change it. But here is my final product, the way that I liked it after a while. Changed a whole bunch of different things in the process of working with it, but this is what I came up with, and I'm pretty happy with it. So have fun. Let me know if there's anything else special you want to do that I didn't show you how to do. And I can maybe show you, or, you know, there's a million YouTube videos out there. You can learn something new all by yourself. So have fun with that, and I can't wait to see what your final triptychs look like on Friday.